A human? No. Okay, and definitely, but no, that's not how the saying goes. Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you are doing great and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Beatriz, I'm your host. Let's say it, I told you I was going to be calling myself your host for my next videos. So in today's video, what I am going to do, as you can see from the title, I am going to bring to you my January wrap-up. Since January has obviously ended, we are almost, I think, at Valentine's Day when I will post this video, so I know I'm a little bit late, but better late than never. So here I am to bring you my January wrap-up. So I have here my bullet journal with all my readings from January, and I will be telling you all the secrets, all the books that I loved, all the books that I did not love. And if you follow my Instagram, and if you're not, what are you doing? But if you follow my Instagram, you already know some of these books that I'm going to be talking about and what I did give them in the end. I think let's sit and let's talk about the books, because that's why you are here today. I will be talking about the books in reading orders. Does not have anything to do with star rating or anything. I'm just going to be showing you the books that I have read in the order that I read them. And the first book that I read in the month of January was Wildfire by Anna Grace. And this is the second book on the Maple Hill series. The third one comes out this year, I think in June or July, but well, let's talk about Wildfire. I give this book a 3 stars. I did not enjoy this book as much I did enjoy Icebreaker. Icebreaker, I think it was really good. Although I liked Russ in Icebreaker, I felt him a little lacking in his book. I think he was not as impactful in Wildfire as he was in Icebreaker, so that's about it. But what I did think about this book was, let me look at my bullet journal. Well, the story was not very interesting. I felt like it was mostly based on the camp that they were in, like the summer camp. The book was almost all in there, and honestly, Wildfire was a book about characters with daddy issues, and I think that's a no for me. It really did not do much for me, Wildfire. And besides that, I was so confused in the end because Aurora did like open a bookstore, and to me it was so out of nowhere. I know she talked before that she liked books, but she never said that she wanted to open a bookstore, so that's why it was so strange to me when in the end she opened a bookstore. And also, there was not much evolution in the characters, honestly. They felt a little bit lacking and not very emotional, not very well developed, and overall I think that this book could have been so much more than what it actually was. So that's why I ended up giving it 3 stars. And sadly it was my first book of the year, so not a very good start, but I have a few 5 stars coming. Let's hope for that. My second read of the year was Legends in Lattes by Travis Baldree, and I did really enjoy this book. I gave it 4 stars, like a solid 4 stars, and I think I don't have much to say about it because I did really enjoy it overall, but I thought that the characters were very cute, that the setting was really nice. I liked the idea of the coffee shop being like the main setting, and I did really enjoy the characters, especially Thimble, because it was my favorite character. And honestly, I discovered that my copy has one of the recipes that they talk about during the story, so I will definitely be doing it. I think there's not much more to say. I did enjoy it. I really think it was a very cozy vibe reading, so I really want to read bookshops and bone dust, and I think that's it. I did give it 4 stars. I think it corresponds to the hype that it gets, so I think there's not much more to say about this book. The third book that I did read in this year, it was A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, and I did give it 3 stars. And the only reason that I did give this book 3 stars, it was because I think it did not do to me as much as the other books did. This book was quite underwhelming for saying, because there's not much happening, and although I do understand that because this book is a novella and not a novel, I think, I don't know, I did not like the events in this one a lot. It did not make for me as much as the other books in the ACOTAR series did, so that's why I did give it only 3 stars, and I think it was quite underwhelming actually. That's the main reason, definitely. So A Court of Frost and Starlight was a 3-star read for me, sadly. So the next book that I'm going to be talking about, it's a book that, although I have a physical copy, I will put the cover in English here because I have the Portuguese cover and it is quite different from the English one. It was my first DNF of the year. I did read like 10 pages of it and I was like, nope, I cannot do it. I was not liking the promise of the story, and honestly that's saying a lot because I only did read about 10 pages, so I was not able to know a lot, but I was not vibing with the book and definitely not in the right mood to read that book, so that's why I did end up having to DNF it and having my first DNF of the year. So, but recovering from a DNF and entering my first 5-star of the year was Divine Rivals. I did buy this book because I wanted to understand what the hype was all about, and also because it was one of the buddy reads that I could participate in the readathon that I was being a part of, so I decided, why not, let's do it. So I did get it and I did read it, and it was my first 5-star of the year, and honestly I love this book. This was such a good book. I love the characters. I think they were well written. I love the setting, the idea of a war, especially because it was historical war, kinda, the idea, and I really liked that. I liked the fantasy aspect of, and be careful, this might be a spoiler, of the interconnected typewriters, so they could connect with each other that way, so definitely that. And I think it was such a good fantasy and high historical fantasy that I did really enjoy it very, very much. So my first 5-star of the year was Divine Rivals, and I cannot stop recommending it. Really, if you want some like light historical fantasy, read this book. The next book that I did read in the year was Belladonna, and I am quite disappointed with this book. I did give it 3 stars and it did not do to me all that I wanted to do. I did like the murder mystery aspect. I kind of liked the atmosphere, the gothic vibes idea, and like I did enjoy the romance, but only the part that she was liking 2 boys, or better, she was liking Death and another boy, but she ended up knowing that that other boy was actually Death, so I did like that part. But other than that, I felt like this book quite dragged a bit and was not at all what I was expecting, but even saying that, I really want to read Foxglove because I think that it will be also quite interesting, and another murder mystery mixed with a little bit of fantasy, maybe, who knows. I can only wait and see, but honestly I thought I would like this more, especially because of the gothic vibes, and I did not like it more because of the way that the author wrote the book, so it did ended up being a 3 stars for me. In the meanwhile, I did start listening to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is my Portuguese copy, but the cover is the same, so I think you will understand what book I am talking about. This is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and honestly this was my second 5-star of the month because I simply loved this book. I was so immersed while I was listening because I did read a little bit of the physical, but also I did listen to it on audio and I couldn't put it down. It was definitely a 5-star, a 10 out of 10 in terms of excitement because I really liked Evelyn's character, and I think, well, I say it like this, but I want to be Evelyn Hugo when I grow up. I want to be just like her. I want to be able to be a woman who knows what she wants, who knows what she is capable, and I want to be a woman that does everything that she can to help her family and help her best friends. So I think that's a nice thing to say about this book, but also this book has a nice representation of the LGBTQA plus QIA plus, I'm sorry, I don't know the acronym, but I think it was a really nice representation of the community because it talks about that and how Evelyn couldn't be with the woman she loved because of appearances and because of the time that they were at. So it was a sad book in the end because she died alone. I loved Evelyn's story. I did cry in the end, and this is definitely a book that I want to reread it, or better read the full book in physical because I want to tab it. And I think that's pretty much it. I have this last book to show you. This was my last read of January, and it was a book that I knew I had to crump it in because I wanted to give my team the stars that this book would get me so we could win, and spoiler alert, we did end up winning. House of Venus won the Moonlight University readathon, so I'm quite happy that I was able to put this book in. And this book is called The Principle of Moments by Esmie Jikiemi-Pearson. Let's say it like that. I don't know really how to say her name, and this is the author's debut novel. I honestly did give this book a 5-star. It started to me as a 3 stars because the first 150 pages were so hard to get through. It was really hard to understand the author writing style and how she paced the book because I felt like the first pages were not very well edited, but the last half of the book did flew by, and there were so many aspects that made me give this book 4 stars that I really had to give it a 4 star. There were many aspects that I liked about it, especially the space theme fantasy, and honestly there were space whales in it, and I became a fan of space whales. Forget mermaids, forget unicorns, I want a space whale in my life. So I did give this book 4 stars. I have a more in-depth review on my Goodreads if you want to read that, but I liked the aspect of the prophecy and the characters. It was almost found family, and also I did really enjoy the settings, and I think that the various planets that our main characters go in are very well written, and I think they each have a unique character that the author could bring really nicely to the book. So that's why I did end up giving it 4 stars. But if you want to hear or read my thoughts a little bit better, there's a review on Goodreads. So just to give you a little bit of a stats, I did ended up reading 7 books in total. I did have 1 DNF. I did read in total 2,178 pages and listen to 12 hours of an audiobook, and also my average rating was 3.9. Also, this puts a point in me that I was talking with my best friend about how I don't normally give books a very low rating, so definitely I want to check it out a little bit more about that, because I want to start giving books a more varying rating, but let's see, maybe I have just not found the right book to give it a 2 stars. So this is all that I have for today's video. If you want, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button to know a little bit more of my book adventures, and I'll see you all very soon. I don't know with what video yet, but I can wait to figure it out and bring you another YouTube video. I have an announcement, so I think I have already said that, but I'm not sure. I might be starting some reading sprints, so if they are already started, I will maybe have them scheduled. So if you want to come and chat with me a bit more, feel free to show up, and I would really like to see you there. So until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week, day or night, or wherever you want, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye bye!